Okay, getting this party started. It is going to be a little clunky tonight. We've had some gremlins in the system, so buckle up. It is going to be the potential of some problems out there as we get into this netcast for this evening. Maybe some jams on the computer, and I'm not talking about musical ones either, but this is what happens when you have the system that we do. So, again, occasionally going to be seeing some issues at this time. We are up and going. Looks good. Okay, so far so good. This is live Facebook and Twitch TV. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This is News 12 from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, USA. For anybody who's tuning in from out of town, way out of town, anybody from across the pond or wherever you're coming in from, thanks a lot for joining us. We're on Twitch TV. Drop anything in the way of a question or say hi into the comments section. Would love to see a little bit more about who's checking in and from where. And any questions about the forecast, we'll answer what we can coming up here in just a little bit. Right past the peak of hurricane season, we've got Lee off the east coast. We've got Margot mid-ocean. Another system winding up as we go into the next couple of days. Could quite possibly become Nigel in the next day or two, depending on what goes on from the National Hurricane Center. But for right now, it looks like we're still stuck with a high chance of a new development out there. But so far, just two active storm systems out there, and that's about it. So for right now, again, decently quiet, and none of that is heading our direction. We will see more chances of showers and thunderstorms into the weekend, but again, so far it doesn't really look too much like a spoil for the weekend out there. All right, so let's get this going. I believe this is going to work. Stay tuned. Again, we had some minor issues. This happens from time to time when you're dealing with live TV. This can happen from time to time to where things just don't go quite the way you think it's going to. So just bear with me here, and we'll see how well this pans out for tonight. Temperatures today, again, you couldn't get much more exactly where we should be for this time of the year, off by a degree or two on the highs and the low temperatures for today. So this was very typical mid-September weather out there. So thanks again for that today, that we weren't even anywhere close to the record high temperature out there. So definitely some good news all the way around across much of the area. Not seeing, again, a lot of problems nearby. We'll talk more about that in just a little while. Taking a look at our West Shore home weather window picture of the day. Very placid setting here. Really neat to be able to see a lot going on in this particular picture. This is from Cheryl Londo, and looking at a spectacular sunrise shot from Jasper, Tennessee. You've got the hills and the mountains out there. You've got fog down in the valleys, some cloud cover out there, and some brilliant colors of sunrise. A majestic picture out there. One of many, a lot of great try that again. Great photography work, many great photographers out there. Midweek, I just need to get more root beer or something. I don't know what the problem is, but thank you very much, Cheryl Londo, for that view, and thanks to everyone for sending in some wonderful pictures over the course of the last several days, weeks, and months. Really appreciate everybody sending that in. If you've got pictures, we'd love to see what you're seeing out there. If you want to remain anonymous, great, but just give us a description as to what you're looking at. Otherwise, we're going to have to, unfortunately, kind of make things up as we go along on the pictures if you don't tell us who you are, where the picture was from, things like that. So if you haven't taken care of that, just please give us an idea as to what you were looking at out there. Drop into our social media pages. You can, again, leave them in the comments section there, or just email them to us at pictures@wdef.com. I'd love to, again, see what you're seeing out there. From the EPB Fiber Optic WeatherCam Network, which is also available at wdef.com. The view from Lee Point on the Plainview Outdoor Advertising Camera, Highway 153 and Highway 64, looking off to the southwest from this part of the intersection. And again, a little hazy out there, but not bad. Skies cleared up. Apparently, a really good view of the International Space Station passing overhead in the last couple of hours. So nice to be able to see a little bit more about that out there. Taking a look downtown around the area of AT&T Field as the Chattanooga Lookouts take on the Birmingham Barons, and it looks like it's possible the Barons are going to take another game from the Lookouts. Looking at the heading into the bottom of the ninth, and the Barons are leading at this time. So hopefully the Lookouts can score some late game runs on there and give us an idea as to hopefully come back on that one. From around the News 12 studios on the veteran-owned Patriot Concrete camera, north face of Lookout Mountain and the lights of Ruby Falls out into around the area of just to the southwest of the News 12 studios. That backup taking place once again as traffic gets backed up from construction back over around highway or Interstate 24, 75 north from Georgia, heading west toward Chattanooga downtown and heading toward the Nashville Birmingham junction in that area. The construction that's going on, some pretty heavy construction, bridges being removed, things like that. So there's occasional backups out there, so a decent scrum of traffic early this evening. That's the Tomahawk Crane and Rigging camera at CHI Memorial Stadium. Thanking Speedy's Total Car Care for the new camera from the Chattanooga Theater Center in the North Shore area, looking back over Coolidge Park and the bridges off to the south and west. Hopefully we got a good sunset shot out there for tonight. And last but not least, let's take a look around the area of Island Cove. Some sky shine, some holes in the clouds out there, starting to clear out back to the west. So looking pretty nice all the way around. It's a pleasant evening out there. The temperatures are nice. The dew point temperatures are very nice. Not as muggy as it was a few days ago. Winds out of the north that's escorting in some very dry air. So we are seeing a little bit less in the way of problems. Some very good air quality across the area earlier, down in the 30s. Everything expected to be on the good side in the next couple of days. So no major problems being seen out across the area there. We did manage to get a decent amount of dry air sweeping its way on through, and that again will continue for the next day or two. We'll be seeing high pressure down to the south and west of us, giving us some more chances of showers and thunderstorms. Not a lot, but we will see at least some activity coming up in the next couple of days, so that will increase into the weekend. What we're seeing for right now, high pressure off the Gulf of Mexico, this is doing a good job of keeping the moisture stirred up down well to our south. This is also, as a nice little ridge, doing a good job of pushing Lee, the hurricane, off to the east. And we're down to a Category 2. We'll talk more about that. Again. Doesn't seem to be, again, a major threat to the East Coast. Anything between Miami and the Delmarva Peninsula, I would keep an eye on this, just in case things change at a rapid-fire pace. What we will be seeing into the next couple of days will be the dry air. This is swirling around. Again, areas of low pressure rotate counterclockwise, and so this working together with this is drawing down a lot of dry air. So that's going to keep us on the very nice side throughout the course of the next day or two. Then as this begins to shift north, high pressure takes over. Air around high pressure in the northern hemisphere rotates clockwise. So this is going to start to move a lot of warm, moist air back up our direction. Not necessarily warmer, but we will see the potential of more in the way of showers and thunderstorms into the weekend. I don't think we're looking at anything in the way of severe weather for right now. I don't think we're going to be looking at too much of anything else in the way of major amounts of problems. Outdoor activities are going to have to watch this very carefully, though, just to be on the safe side there. Now, through tonight and into tomorrow morning, mid to upper 60s, some cloud cover out there with those gray colors. When you have a very calm, dry atmosphere, sometimes the computer models will latch onto anything involving moisture. In this case, some cloud cover here and there, especially you see right back across the spine of the Appalachians into northern Georgia. The models start throwing in the possibility of some rainfall out there. I'm very doubtful we're going to be seeing anything out of this whatsoever. Some of this may be a shower due to what's called orographic lifting, to where the moisture and the heat of the day, aided by the land surfaces, helps to move that moisture upwards. So maybe a bit of a shower or maybe a thunderstorm Thursday afternoon, highs in the lower 80s. Likewise, for Friday morning, doubtful we're going to be looking at too much there, mid to upper 60s, and the potential of some clouds around the area, but not seeing any problem for Friday night football. Again, the computer models, blah, 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 we're going to be seeing that potential problem there. And into Saturday, that's where we get the potential of the rain. Really, the rain on the models coming back up from the south and the west. So we'll be seeing more chances of rain the farther we go into Saturday, and continuing chances of showers and thunderstorms as we go into Sunday. So outdoor activities, keep that in mind if you have any outdoor plans, because that could be a bit of a problem out there in the next couple of days from what it looks like. All right, 7-day forecast with Island Cove Marina and Resort in the background. Breezy tomorrow, not really windy, but we could see winds 10, 15 miles per hour plus. Maybe a little choppy on the interstates, maybe a hook or a slice due to the winds. Looking around the golf course into the next few days. Beg your pardon on here with the coughing, the wheezing, and the eye digging, but ragweed is really starting to pop up around here, and that's what really sets me off. So unfortunately gets back on the antihistamines, which not helping at this time either. Not seeing a lot to wash the atmosphere out either. Some showers and thunderstorms on Saturday and Sunday. The really nice thing over the next several days, we could be in the high 90s at this time of the year, even the triple digits like you saw on the almanac page. That's not happening anytime soon. Very nice all the way through the middle part of next week, and outside of these chances of showers on Saturday and Sunday and limited chances of that, really just not that much happening at this time. So decently quiet, very much on the mild side, decently cool, lows in the upper 50s to lower 60s as we head into next week. And so far so good all the way into mid to late September. We could be roasting around here. I remember, again, the possibility of some temperatures being well over 100 degrees. Climatologically, it can happen for a long period of time, this area of the country. The mid to late 30s were not kind when it came to summertime across the country, so we could see that again. Doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. That is some very mild temperatures out there, and that's very nice to be able to tell people about, as we see little, if anything, in the way of major problems out across the area. All right, let's get into the tropics, because that, of course, is the big, well, let's see, let's do the tropics here first, and we'll get into the extended forecast here in just a little bit. Actually, one quick peek out west, that system that's out across the Rockies, 14,000 feet up. Nice place to have a little bit of winter out there, some snow, some hail, and some pretty gusty winds out there in the second most visited mountain in the world. Mount Fuji, of course, being number one out that direction. All right, that's a nice trip upslope. I was born right downslope from here at Fort Carson, not too, hopefully too long ago. We do have two hurricanes in the Atlantic. We've got Lee around the East Coast. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. We've got Margot off into the Atlantic. This storm expected to kind of loop the loop in the next couple of days. It's nicknamed a fish storm because it's not bothering anybody else but the fish. But it's this system right here that's going to be following that dotted line. That's the track of Lee over the last several days, and it looks like it's going to be paralleling that course. Now, whether it goes all the way to around where Lee is now and then turns north, or takes a faster northerly course, haven't even gotten a designation for this storm yet, so it's not quite as cohesive and dangerous as it could be. But the National Hurricane Center in the next week giving this a 90% chance of development, so this could be tropical depression, tropical storm Nigel. That's the end storm coming up. That, again, is where we're going to be seeing the potential for our next system. And again, middle of the alphabet, middle of the season, right on schedule for a very busy one out there. All right, let's take a look and see what's going on with Lee. Margot, not a problem. It's going to be heading up into the Atlantic. Not a problem for us. Lee looks like it is going to be continuing on its course. There's these kind of wobbles taking place here, which is normal. That happens a lot. It's going to be into the weekend where we see the potential danger to the New England area and the East Coast. The spaghetti models, again, all those lines on there that look like a mishmash of noodles on a plate. That's why they named that way. Yesterday, it was aiming a little bit further back over, at least with this model suite, toward the west. Now it appears to be bending a little further eastward, which means that by Saturday afternoon, it could still be, even though it's over colder water, it could still be a Category 1 hurricane right before it hits around the area close to the United States Canadian border on the far eastern area there. This is going to be, again, the danger here as it gets closer toward about Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. That's where we could see a lot more of the problems. Here's the other thing we're looking at for right now. If you're heading to the East Coast, wave heights will be increasing over the next couple of days. Excuse me one second. I thought that was going to let me alter the forecast here. The wave heights, as you see them, in and around the highest colors, the red, the orange there, as the storm makes its way up the East Coast. Let me reprogram this here for just a second. We start to see the potential of heavier wave activity, not a great deal, but the storm is sending out waves of energy in the water, and that water gets sloshed up against the East Coast. Here's the thing about that. It may be big breakers on the shoreline, another 3 to 5 feet, maybe 10 feet, depending on how much energy we get from the storm. The big thing is when you push all that water up against the East Coast, that water has to spread out and then circulate back as more waves come in, so you continue that wave cycle going on. That's a lot of water to get shoved up against the coastline area, so you may see a lot of rip currents going on, and if you've never been in one of those things, they can be a little scary to where the tide, it just pulls you out and you can't swim against it, and there's rules to making certain you can swim back to shore. First of all, not panicking, and secondly, remembering where you are on the beach so you can go swim away. It's called Break the Grip of the Rip from the National Weather Service, and anywhere on the coast from Boston to Savannah, we may be seeing the potential of a decent storm passing offshore, so waves could be a problem as we get into the course of the rest of the forecast as the storm goes a little farther north into the next several days. So again, most of the energy is out here, but some of that energy is going to translate back toward the east coastal states, so that could be a bit of a problem. That's in the water. Now, if I can find it back, we are looking at the potential for a lot of wind. The storm itself going very close, but not too close to the coast, so good news on that. And again, following this potential, notice the colors earlier, we're looking at Category 2, some Category 3 winds mixed in with there just below that. And then as we get closer to landfall Saturday afternoon and evening, the amount of wind really dies down to where we're just about a Category 1 or so, but we are close enough to where this wind field is going to, it's very tight right now. If we go back all the way to the beginning of this loop, notice again the wind field is really concentrated around this. Watch what happens as this goes forward. You'll notice the wind field get a lot bigger as the storm spreads out. It loses its cohesiveness, but it is going to stay tight enough to give these winds coming through, wrapping around this section of the storm and right around New England, New York, Boston, New England, up around Montpelier, New Hampshire, even around Connecticut and Rhode Island. Could be some very breezy winds and therefore some travel delays at some of the airports, depending on how the winds are out there for travelers at various points. But Saturday afternoon and evening, could be maybe even Sunday morning, could be some slowdowns as this storm goes past, and that's where we could be looking at the potential for some problems out there with those winds coming on through and wrapping around this core of what was this storm. After this, the storm expected to take a right turn, head back out into the Atlantic. Whether or not it regenerates, a little iffy to see that right there. But for right now, again, the potential is it could regenerate. But for as the time being, it looks like it's mainly just going to head on out of the picture. Either way, heading north and east of New York, could be some delays there. So if you're planning on traveling that direction, please keep that in mind. All right, long range real quick before we wrap things up here. Please keep in mind that, again, these can change. Temperatures will be mild. It'll be a little bit warmer, but not bad. The heat is going to be back in the Great Plains, the Southern Plains, the mid and upper, middle, and lower Mississippi Valley above normal for the next couple of days. We're also not seeing too much of anything else in the way of major problems with rainfall. Yes, we've got showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, but most of what we're looking at here is going to be a little bit below normal, so not that much in the way of rainfall in the course of the next several days. Below normal chances, decently dry pollen that's not going to help people like me out and not going to help the wildfire situation, so we need to be watching that with a lot of interest. While nothing is going on, this would be an excellent time to program your weather radio, and we can help you do that. Go to wdef.com/weather to find out more about how easy it is to program your National Weather Service weather radio. Get the warnings and the county's warnings, watches, advisories that you want to be notified for, and don't get any of the ones you don't. That really helps out. Life-saving piece of equipment. Please get that taken care of before we get into that second severe weather season peak coming up in the next couple of months. If you're a teacher and you'd like to have us in your classroom, we'd love to appear there, but you got to make the request. So please do so at the Food City Weather in the Classroom program. That's at wdef.com/weather. Click on the Weather in the Classroom program page, fill out the form, contact information, location, some possible dates and times that might work well. What grade level? That's important because we do a different presentation for high school than we do for kindergarten. So please keep that in mind, and we'll have more on that throughout the rest of the next few weeks, but we have to know that information before we plan to show up, and you have to make that, again, go to our website, wdef.com/weather, for more information on that. That should do it, I think, for tonight. Again, decently quiet for right now, warm for the next few days, little, if anything, really for any possible major amounts of concern. Severe weather chances at a bare minimum. Some rain and thunder into the weekend, but we're talking about minimal amounts out there at best, so just not really much going on for now. Again, if you'd like to see this repeat, all you have to do is go to our website, wdef.com/weather, for that and the forecast. You can also reach me through all of these social media pages as well, keeping track of the weather out there and posting to as many places as possible. If you play chess, find me on chess.com or lichess.org. I'm not a grandmaster, but I do know my way around a chessboard, so if you like to play the game, send me your requests. My handle is my ham radio license. That's KG4GKE. If you'd like to find me out there someplace and play a game of chess, I would love to. Haven't played a good game of chess since I moved to Chattanooga, except with a computer, so it'd be nice to play a living opponent at some point in time. We'll have more on the forecast. It'll be decently quiet into the weekend. Chip Chapman will have more on that forecast bright and early on Thursday morning. We'll have your Food City certified Angus beef on the grill cast coming up tomorrow, and we'll also take a look on Thursday evening at the upcoming Friday night football schedule, so stay tuned for that and what the weather's going to be like this week. Looks like it's going to be very nice for Friday night football, and doesn't look like right now any chance of rain out there. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. You've been watching Weather Overtime from News 12, downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, USA. Thanks for joining us tonight. Stay tuned for more with News 12 on the air and online, and we'll keep you advised.